In this video, I really want to tidy up the structure and backbone of the garden before all the flowers really start coming in full force. We've had some really mild weather taking us to the end of March and beyond. It's not looking likely we'll get another frost here in the southeast of England. However, I'm not taking any chances just yet. So while I wait out this last bit of March before I start bringing more plants out of the greenhouse, I want to tidy the whole garden up again so that the backdrop to all the flowers is ordered and attractive and purposeful. This means tidying up this area at the back of my shed, which I can see from here where I'm having my morning coffee. I did want to do this potting up area near where I sit on hotter days because it's a shadier area, but I did run out of time. This job did take me a little bit longer than I was expecting. But after I did the tidying up, I then refreshed the pathways and I potted up some violas just because I saw them and they were going really cheap. My violas have not started growing yet. They were really cheap. They were just a bargain. And my tulips came out earlier than I was expecting. So I wanted just some more little pops of colour along the pathway. I just want to take a moment to talk about the potting up area, even though I won't be tidying that up today because I did run out of time. It will get done after this video, but so that you can see what it did look like when it's all tidy, I will link the video to how I landscaped this whole area last year. And the only reason I'm going over that again and mentioning that again, I'd like you to have a look at that, is because of the cost-effective way, how little effort and money it cost to landscape this area. You know, I think I've mentioned it in other videos. I'm tired of getting contractors in who charge more than doctors and barristers and even surgeons just for doing a bit of basic landscaping. And it was just getting ridiculous. And I realised one day when I asked someone to do some path work and some levelling off down another seating area, and they charged me so much. I'm actually embarrassed to say how much they charged me. And at that point, I realised I was just being ripped off and conned. And that was why I set about doing that landscaping area myself. And the great thing about it is to revamp it, you just need a few bags of gravel, a few bags of bark chipping, less than 20 or 30 quid per year, and it's as good as new every year. It takes less than 10 minutes to open the bags, shovel the stuff around in the right place, and you've got a new seating, you've got a new landscaped area every year like new. So that's why I'm mentioning that, even though I didn't get to it in this video, but I will link the original video where I did it originally in the description below. What did take a little bit longer though was tidying the mess I made after cutting down the hedge. While I was standing on the chicken coop, I was cutting various branches and I just tossed them down here and it made a right mess, as you can see. I still have the branches to deal with over in another area, but that's just a job that's going to have to wait for another day. For now, I need to organise this area so that it's just, much more practical, easy to use, easy to find my tools and everything that I need, and it just looks more ordered and purposeful. So I started by gathering up these short stubby bamboo sticks and placing them in the bucket, which was in fact how they started before the branches started knocking them all over the place. In case you're wondering why I'm keeping all these bamboo sticks, then this is why. I use them to shield new and emerging plants from my four-legged friends, who will trample all over them. As you can see, after my dog snapped off a peony stem, I've added these sticks to shield it from further trampling. Here's another one, a cornflower I transplanted that I could just see the dogs taking out in one fell swoop, so I decided to protect it with some of these little bamboo shorts. This saves me from having to fence off the entire border and all the borders, which would just look messy, and it's obstruct the flow of the garden. Obviously, as the plants grow and strengthen, the bamboo stakes just disappear, or you can remove them then. In addition to having all these bamboo stumps, I also have this plastic plumbing pipe cut into short stumps, and these helped me once make a short round tunnel, a short polytunnel, like the one I have over there covering my ranunculus. But mine was more messy and less portable. And as you can see, these are really useful for organising your plant stakes and my bamboo canes. So you can just slot them into the pipe and these bamboo canes, these plant stakes here, and then it keeps them all really tidy and together and neat and in one place rather than in a big mess of a tangle like I had them before. Due to the large overlapping roof of this chicken coop, which I was one of the first DIY projects I ever built, and I never got any chickens because our rabbit got elderly, so I housed him in it instead. It was my first DIY project, so don't judge. But anyway, because of this overhang of the roof, I can just hang tools here for easy access. It means I don't always have to put them in the shed because it's a chicken coop. It's not the most accessible shed for long tools like this. So I'm just going to hang them off the back of the shed, and I just literally hammered in a couple of nails long enough to put the heads of the tools to hang them off. So that's just absolutely great. One of the major problems I have with my garden is the clay soil when it's wet. Of course, clay soil enriched with compost is super nutritious and fabulous, and a fabulous growing medium for plants. But if it's where you need to walk all the time and it's in a utility area, such as this area here, it gets in an awful boggy, muddy mess. We've had so much rain. It was absolutely terrible this year. As my tools are stored here and I need access to this space all the time, wearing wellies and heavy duty footwear, it just, it's just not practical to leave it here as mud or grass or whatever. So I decided I was going to add more gravel to this area just to make it more practical. And I had to dig out the topsoil to make the area flat. For some reason, due to debris over the years, it had got lumpy and uneven. So I dug out the soil to flatten the area off, and I saved the soil because it was amazing quality, the soil. So I definitely didn't want to lose that. And I used it to repot up this plant here, which had been sitting in a plastic garden centre plant for years. I don't know how it's still alive. So I put it in this empty terracotta pot here, and I was able to use this soil rather than my expensive compost or homemade compost, which of course takes a long time to make. I also had enough to add to this area, this planter here, which needed topping up with soil. And I think I'm going to grow some strawberries in here because strawberries prefer actual garden soil than compost to grow in. So there you go. So I may grow some strawberries in here. Anyway, whatever. I ended up saving this compost because this soil because it was so good. I didn't add a membrane under the gravel, nor did I along the path. Obviously, the traditional cottage garden was an organic garden, and as I'm moving towards entirely organic, I didn't want to buy any in. I have found it's sufficient to keep adding gravel once a year and dig out any persistent weeds and push through until all the weeds give up and take the hint. You don't actually solve the problem of weeds with the membrane anyway, because broken down leaves, grass clippings, mud and dirt you just drag along on your shoes all adds a layer on top of the membrane anyway, and weeds love nothing more than growing in a thin layer of debris. So there you go. Membranes don't actually really help. So then I had this whole area looking sort of, tidy, but I realised that I could do with some plants in this area. So I decided to transplant some of the lamium that I have growing like wildfire over the other north side of the bank. So it grows in the shade and it grows really well, but it just hasn't made its way this far down the garden yet. So I took some cuttings from that. It travels, it grows by root underground, suckers under the ground. So all you need to do is cut out a chunk with some of the root and it's just a whole new plant good to go. So hopefully this will establish an attractive ground cover in this area, and they're really pretty little yellow flowers. I absolutely love them in spring. So I have some shady wildflower seeds growing, and I'll see what comes up there and then maybe transplant some of those in this area to accompany the lamium as well. So then all that was left to do was to just refresh the rest of the garden. So I added more fresh gravel to the existing pathways that had got muddy over the winter with all the clay and the mud from all the rain we've had, and I was dragging it up and down the path. So I refreshed all that with some new gravel, and then I planted up these violas, which I got really cheaply, for some more pops of colour along the pathway that lines my entry into the garden, and to tie in the colours from these tulips, which I was not expecting to flower so early, but here they are. You don't have to pack each pot full of violas. I just dotted them about so there were little pops of colour catching your eye here and there. I bought all these pots for under £4, which is $5, under $5, by just dotting them about and just sort of just adding pops of colour rather than sort of overdoing it. It's nice to have them just look casual, as though they've self-seeded in the pots. So after I finished editing this video and uploading it, I am going to go and do that potting bench as well. So everything's going to be beautiful in the garden, ready for those summer flowers. I actually really can't wait now. Everything's looking really good. And I kind of caught up from my delay from when I was ill in the new year. It just seemed to be ill forever. And everything I started to fall behind massively. Anyway, so there we go. There we are. All done. So if you like this video and you like the useful tips and you found them helpful, don't forget to subscribe, click the notification bell and comment if you have any questions, because I always answer. You can also visit my new merch shop below, or visit my website, which is www.jillbrotherton.com. Thanks for watching. Bye.